Okay, right, only when we talk. All right, 5 o'clock. I call this meeting to order. Approval of the minutes from last month. I would motion that we accept the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor say aye, please. Aye. All those opposed? All right. Minutes accepted. Claims. We have all signed and looked at the claims for the month. I will motion that we approve the claims as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? New business. Approve a new logo for Crystal Beach, the campground, and Sunrise Golf Course. Take it away, Mr. Klein.
Thank you. We've been working probably for the last 6 months on logos, on imaging for City of Madison Parks and Rec. Our first logo that we finished and that was approved was our overall Parks and Rec logo. You'll see it on the top of your agenda. And I think it's been fairly well received. As we grow, as we increase our presence, it's critically important that people can identify us visually and understand who we are and what we do. And I'll give you an example of why I think it's really important for us to be branded so people can understand what Parks and Recs does. So these are some social media reach for 2023 and 2024. So I thank Hannah and Keeley for pulling these off for us, because I think these are some pretty crazy numbers. So our reach in 2023, 144,500. It's an increase of 117% from the year before. January reach this year alone is 59,000. So we've almost reached half of what we did all of last year in just 1 month. Our contact interactions, 11,600, an increase of 82% from 2022. We're at 4,500 already this year. Our link click, 2.7 thousand, 2,700 for non-math people, an increase of 123% from the previous year. This year we've got a 203 already. 196 posts were made in 2023. It's a 65% increase from 2022. We have 1,123 new followers in 2023, and we have 148 new followers so far in January. Our highest performing post, roller skating party, 32,700, followed by senior center crab leg dinner, 15,300. So all of these clicks, the interactions we have are driving, or what we're doing is driving people towards our parks. And so when we talk about Crystal Beach coming up, or we're advertising for the campground and what we want to do for the campground or what we want to do for Sunrise, the iconography and the logos are very, very important to brand with the Parks Department. So we can post all day long, but people need to visually be able to see each park, and then we can advertise separately. So with that, Keeley has so graciously approved or allowed us to use her time to come back and kind of go through these 3 logos and talk about them a little bit so you can see them. The golf board approved the Sunrise logo last Wednesday. We have met with the mayor and gone through those this morning, so he's feeling good about them. So Keeley, if you'll march us through, we appreciate it.
Sure thing. Good evening, everybody. Okay, so I guess you're going to go through Crystal Beach first. So we were working with the same graphic designer who did the recent parks logo as a whole, and he gave us concepts for Sunrise, the campground, Riverview Campground, and Crystal Beach. And there was feedback going back and forth, and they approved the Sunrise and campground, but Crystal Beach we'd still not settled on. So I came up with concepts for what we might look at, and this is what we landed on, actually. So this is, I don't know, first whack at a new logo for Crystal Beach. So we pulled the same blues that are already in that circle ring of the new logo, so we're playing off a lot of the same colors. So it's the same blues. One of them slightly lightened, so we can get more of that like water feel. And then we played off the sun iconography that's actually been part of Crystal Beach for a long time. I think Tanya found an old towel, yeah, or something that had like a sun on it, and so we thought that was really cool. But this is a couple different variations, so black and white, full color, landscape versus portrait, and then these are like icons we can use to either stamp on like signs instead of the full logo with all the little text, or you can use this in your social media platform like as the icon image in the header. But these are just different things and branded content that would go within that would hopefully all tie it back into Crystal Beach Aquatic Park.
So this is not necessarily something that would be on a sign out front or anything, but little things we could use as a promotion for an event, or, correct? I'm just getting clear.
Yes, at some point, if we did a monument sign out front, the main one that we just saw could be our logo out front. But inside or online, it'll be more the circle with the swimmer and the sun rays. Like we're doing signs for all the doors, you have to have signage on all your doors. And so that little logo, the circle logo in the middle, would be the icon on that sign. It wouldn't say Crystal Beach. It wouldn't have any language underneath. It would just be that icon. Or if you're looking online and you go to Crystal Beach page, it'll be that icon with just the circle and the swimmer. But on apparel, on merchandise, it would be the whole piece with Crystal Beach Aquatic Park, Madison, Indiana, and have that whole piece on a T-shirt or a hat or some kind of apparel.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you have any ideas what kind of apparel you want?
We are in the process of trying to figure out what we're going to do, but T-shirts, long sleeve shirts, hats, visors, even stickers that we can put on water bottles and things like that. But again, it's we have to market what we're doing, and so our image has to be consistent throughout everything that we do.
Towels for people
yeah.
who forgot towels.
Yeah. Umbrellas, trying to find umbrellas, but you have to buy like 1,000 of them at a time.
I like it.
It's cute.
Thank you, Keely.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you want me to stay and walk through the
Yep.
other ones? Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I
just
figured.
go on to the next one.
All right, so this is what the same graphic designer who did the other ones as well, he gave us this one for the campground. So this is pulling on 3 colors from that color wheel in our logo. It's pulling on that gold color, and then that greenish blue, and then the blue. Those are all 3 that are the exact same. So yeah, again, it'd be like the circle would be like the social icon that you could use on small print things, and then the landscape full logo you would use on other larger marketing things. Yeah, I think that this one actually received a lot, I think, from the team that was reviewing these. I think we really liked the iconography of like the hills being represented with like the water, especially because the campground is right there, and so I think everyone liked how that was reflected. The mayor really liked that as well. But yeah, this one we didn't really have a lot of edits actually for it, but definitely want to hear your feedback.
The logo with all the brown just a minute ago, I don't know if I love that. Maybe lighten it up a little bit, a little tan.
Go back to
More
that
tan.
landscape one, the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that we would put this on that brown like that ever, actually. This is just a presentation the
Okay.
designer gave us.
Just making sure.
I think the idea is if it's on a dark background.
Mm.
This is a logo concept for that,
Yeah.
with an alternative
I
for
like
the black
that.
and white.
Yeah.
Get something lighter, probably. Yeah.
And the only change we have to this one is making that sun a little brighter so it looks
Yeah.
more yellow than tan. It's the gold color in the color wheel, but it just
I
looks a
think
little dark.
That was
for
something
us.
the mayor pointed out this
So is it
morning.
the same color as the word Riverview?
Uh-huh,
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
you're right. It does look darker. Okay.
yeah.
All right. On to Sunrise then.
Alrighty, so we had tweaks to his initial design, but the concept's basically the same. We're playing off of, it's hard to tell in this photo, but the golf course is actually, it's a dark green. You'll see it more in a few minutes when she scrolls down to another page. Yeah. And so we figured a green was important for the golf course to have. It's very stereotypical for, you think of greens, you think of the fairways, you think of just grass. So that was needed. And then something to pair with that and balance off of, it's called sunrise. So we thought a yellow or an orange or something. And to make it a little different than everything else, we went with the orange. And so those are little icons we can use. Different versions for it to be on a dark surface or a light surface, things like that. But I think everyone really liked this one. And I know it already went before the golf board, right? Yeah.
So this is already, they've already tweaked these from the feedback that you guys have
It's
given?
already been tweaked, at least some, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Every time I see this, I just envision it being embroidered on something like a towel or I don't know. I feel like with golf stuff,
polo shirt
everything's
that
always
Roger's
embroidered.
wearing.
Yes. So I like this one a lot.
David, can we get your style sense on this?
I like it.
That's all we need.
Thank you, Keely.
Yeah.
I'm colorblind, so it could be purple for that matter. But as far as the design, I like the design, especially that one in Crystal Beach, the Riverview Campground one. I think as long as it says Riverview Campground, I know what it means. But if it's just a hill and a sun and the water,
Right.
I don't know. So
Yeah.
other than that, but good job.
Okay. Do we need to make an official motion? I mean, we like them all. Okay, we do need to make it official. All right. Would someone else like to make a motion this time?
Do you want to approve all three at once, or
Yes.
three
I think we
motions?
do all three at once.
I'll make a motion to approve them, the three logo designs.
You want to be the second this time?
I will second that motion. All those in favor of approving all three logos, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And we have none opposed. We were all ayes. Very good. Thank you. Keely, thank you very much for coming to do that. Deputy Director, Ms. Burnett, you're up to bat.
Okay, you should have a sheet there. I just did some short little bullet point updates. Events, we had 53 at the Jackson Snelling concert at Hunter Hall. Got some great feedback on that event. The roller skating is next Friday the 16th from 6 to 10 p.m. at Brown Gym, and we've gotten overwhelming response from that already. I think you heard those numbers, which are just crazy to me. So real excited to see how that goes. It's definitely something we'd like to do maybe once a month through winter and offer it more often. And then we do have a survey out to participants from the Christmas parade, and met with VMI today to talk about moving the Very Merry Christmas parade to an evening parade of lights, like the 5:36 time frame. Just working through some logistics of that, and then we will do a community survey once we've heard back from all of the participants who normally are in the parade or sponsor the parade. Everything we've gotten back so far has all been in favor of that, other than just working out a few logistical concerns with VMI's tour of homes that night. So we're working through that. The senior center, I'll stop. Do you guys have any questions about events? Okay.
No.
I'm just looking for the paper from you. I just didn't
Oh,
see
it should be
in my packet.
front of your packet. Sorry, it's easier.
I was stuck with my claims. Thank you. I just like to refer to it as you talk about it.
And then the senior center, Mary Ann Moore, our senior center coordinator, is moving to Greensburg. So we did hold interviews last week or the week before, and have hired Michelle Sanchez to fill that role. She started this week training with Mary Ann before she's gone, and her first full day will be next Monday. Lifetime Resources meal, we served 79 in January. Any questions about senior center? I'll just kind of stop as we go along. No?
No, but can I ask some questions about the roller skating?
Sure.
Sorry, I
That's all right. We'll
couldn't
go
find
back.
my paper. I had someone ask me they're not really interested in skating
Mm-hmm.
because of their age and the fear of falling, but they're definitely interested in coming like to kind of dance and listen to the music and all
Mm-hmm.
that. So they wanted me to ask, would there be kind of like an area designated for people who just want to dance and hang out?
We could do that in the center. I mean, there's a place to sit, obviously the bleachers, but we will rope off the center section, so there's no reason they couldn't dance in the middle.
Okay,
And I think also, if you look at the gym, the north end of the gym where this old stage used to be, I don't know that we need to go all the way to the wall, because we'll have concessions as well. So that, from the baseline to the north, that could all be a dance floor.
and I know that you've been, is there going to be a disco ball in there?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's why I think it'd be fun to rope off the middle to kind of create a pathway, and then the dancers.
Well, we were
people
going
who
to
wanna
do that
dance.
anyway for the flow of the skaters to keep them
Okay,
all.
perfect.
We don't want people crisscrossing all over the place.
Okay.
So yeah,
So these people definitely wanted to come and dance. I thought
that'd be fun. I hadn't
there-
thought about
Is
dancing.
there a capacity?
Yeah, the capacity is just under 900 for Brown Gym.
And we're gonna be able to keep track of that?
Yeah.
It sounds like it's gonna be pretty popular.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if we could fit 200 on the floor skating at one time.
We
so
only
it's-
have 100 pairs of skates coming
Okay.
for rentals.
And we're not allowing people to bring skates in, is that correct?
No, they can.
They can.
Absolutely.
Yep, they can.
We're hoping some have their own skates.
I'm just worried about the gym floor. Like if I have rollerblades and I skate on blacktop and concrete, and then I'm bringing these roughed up wheels in to skate on our beautiful floor. Do we have a plan for that? Are we worried about that at all?
Part of our insurance is to check all the skates that come in, make sure that they're in good shape to be on the floor. And so if there's anything that comes in that's not of good shape, we can reject them and tell them not to bring them in.
And we should probably put something about that in our next social media post, that, the skates have to be approved and in good shape or whatever it is. Now, will the roller skating people be helping you decide that, or will Parks Department be looking and deciding that?
We'll be, whoever's at the door will be checking those. I think Whitney and I will be at the door checking those when they come in.
And is 100 the highest amount of skates that are available for renting? Can they offer more? I know you don't know how many, I mean, I'm just wondering if we have, more people than 100 show up and we don't have skates, that'd be kind of a bummer.
Do you think they'll stay the whole time? We just thought if there's more than that, they might not stay the whole 4 hours,
Okay.
and people
And
would
are
check
you
them in and out.
50% adult, mostly children size skates? I'm just curious.
So the company is deciding that. I have just emailed him to send me a list of what they recommend, what he was going to send, but he said it'd be a variety of their most popular sizes.
Well, they would know.
They
so,
do it
I mean, they're
all the
experts.
time. Yeah,
Okay, and I'm assuming we have a DJ, is that,
correct.
and that person's already been hired and we're good to go?
I already gave him the list of songs.
Okay.
Scott and I already talked about this before too, but just get it out there. We're good on liability too, right? So-
Yes, we've talked to our insurance carriers, we're, everything that we've done is right where they want us to be, so, we're in good shape with our insurance carrier.
Okay, that's it for me.
Any questions on the senior center? No. John Paul Park, there's a group, a small committee, and I've listed names there. It's Scott Klein, Christian Hansen, myself, Tony Steinhardt, Carla Krebs, Ann Roller, and Hillary Bill. Ann and Hillary are both from DNR. Have been meeting monthly to come up with an updated plan, renovation plan for John Paul Park. We already had schematic designs for 3 different options from Environs that was done in 2008. So the committee talked through those 3 designs, decided what needed to stay, what needed to go, just an updated plan. Scott reached out to them, and for the price of $3,500, they'll update that plan. So it saved a whole lot of time and money not having to start from scratch there. And then we have had 2 in-kind donations already since we've started meeting and planning. Daryl Locke donated stump removal for 3 different stumps that were in the park. And then Vires Excavation donated a concrete pad for a bench that was going to be added to the park. So we really think once we get the story out of John Paul Park and what we're wanting to do, that we'll have a lot of people come in support of that.
We're hoping.
We're hoping, yes.
And is Phyllis Steinhardt still a part of our group?
She is. She's been in Florida, and I
Right, but I
forgot to
just, she
list
wasn't
her.
listed. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Phyllis
That's all
also
right.
has been in that group. And she's also from the DAR group.
Let me just say that we are well aware of the amount of money that we would have to raise to do the modifications at John Paul Park, and it would be a multi-year process. And we are already brainstorming grants and all kinds of other financial things to do the work. Okay, so is
And
that
that's
it?
all I have. Yeah, we already went through the logos.
All right, Scott Klein, you're up next.
Thank you. You have a packet of Sunrise Campground financial information, and it's a lot of data. I won't go into the whole length of all the data, but just know it's available for you. We can talk about really what you want to see as a monthly update and a monthly report. And as we get further in the year, of course, we'll do an overall general parks budget and actual to budget reports as we start spending some more money and hopefully get some more money in. But for the campground, January is always pretty much the biggest month. There's a lot of anticipation when we open for reservations for the big event weekends, the festival weekends. This year was no exception to that. Our gross revenue for January was just a little bit over $61,000. And our expenses are $11,260. So I'll explain the expenses to you. The expenses are our normal operating costs, so electricity, water for this time of the year, but it also includes all those fees that we collect that we will be paying back out again. So sales tax, innkeeper's tax, transaction fees, credit card fees, all those fees that we collect but we have to pay back out. I can't just show them as income, I have to also show them as an expense. And so our net for January was $49,755. I think the big difference this year is in previous years with the software that we had, we were charging $3.50 per credit card transaction. We're charging 3% instead of $3.50. So last year, if we had a credit card sale and the transaction fee was $90, we collect $3. So this year, we're actually collecting the whole amount, and then we'll be offsetting that. So at the end of the day, our net's gonna be much greater just from that percentage change from a flat fee. So that'll be a big improvement as we go through and with our net at the end of the year. So as comparison, last year, our gross revenue was $53,000 and our net revenue was $45,333. So we're up about $4,000 in net revenue in January. Now we should kind of quiet down a little bit for the next few months. We'll see a little bit of activity. We won't see any great amount of activity, although I am getting a lot of calls pretty much every week with people booking and trying to get in and figuring out when to show up. So I'm hopeful that we'll have a pretty good year this year at the campground. We're certainly going to try and advertise that more and market it more than we have in the past. Any questions on the campground?
I'm just curious on the April weekend with the solar eclipse. Did we have, a lot of activity for that weekend in the
Not yet.
campground?
Not
Okay.
yet. I think we'll see that probably, I think we'll probably see something in 3 or 4 weeks. I'm seeing more and more on social media, other places advertising for it. So I think the more it gets out, the more interest, the closer we get. It may be the 2 weeks before we get jammed up with reservations.
Okay.
After last year's rates, do you have any early thoughts on how that went? We changed them a little bit last year.
What we did this year as far as our standard rates are the same as last year. The only thing that we changed was adding the Eclipse weekend at that special rate for a minimum stay. And I think we probably cut short 1 3-day maximum stay to a 2-day, like for Halloween or something like that. So our rates have stayed exactly the same. And honestly, until we make some significant improvements like sewer hookups, I don't know that we can really be charging much more than we're charging right now.
I'm not asking to charge more.
Yeah, no, we're not.
If anything, it'd be the other way.
Yeah, I think we get good response. We've got to do better marketing on our off times. So my theory is this, and I'm not an RV camper, but we don't have sewer hookups, so that means you only have a certain amount of time if you're not using the bathhouse before you have to go unhook everything and move. And so it's not conducive for people to stay 7 days at our campground. So we're going to end up with these 3 and 4 day weekends because it just makes sense from a sanitary perspective. Versus if we had hookups, we may get more Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday stays than we get now. So I think, in the future, that's where we're going to pick up a lot more activity, our longer stays versus just, long weekend stays. But and there's plenty of times in between the festivals that we can do better promoting and figuring out ways to bring people in. We're talking about trying to figure out how to bundle Crystal Beach with the campground, and how do we get Sunrise Golf Course bundled with the campground so you can do a play and stay. So there's different ways for us to figure out how to leverage our other parks and advertise those as a way to get people to come and camp with us. So that's all part of our marketing program for this year.
And we corrected any weekend that required a Sunday night stay. You said we corrected the Halloween one.
Correct.
So I want to make sure that Riverfest and Chautauqua, none of them are requiring a Sunday night stay.
No.
Okay.
No. It's essentially those went from 3 to 2 day stays.
Okay.
Friday night, Saturday night.
You mentioned Halloween, but I just want to make sure the other ones got
Yes.
changed
Yeah.
also.
Yeah, as we were kind of going through that, we were losing reservations because people didn't want to have that third or fourth night. And honestly, it didn't make any sense. If if Chautauqua wraps up on Sunday, why do we make them stay Sunday night?
Right.
So we peeled back some of those to make sure that they were logical, I think.
Okay.
Just real quick on Sunrise update, design work is ongoing. We, again, had the golf course architect and the drone company out in December on the ground for the weekend, December 6th weekend. So they are working diligently with the topo that they shot, so they have a better idea of how the golf course moves. The ultimate goal for deliveries for all of our capital planning projects are to have them in-house by the end of March, so we can do a public open house late March, early April. Everybody knows that. So we're working towards that deadline. We do have new expenses at the golf course this year with some new equipment that is outdated and needs to be replaced. I have a spreadsheet in there from the John Deere provider, so there'll be leased equipment, a greens mower, and some replacement wheels or reels on that. We're also going to be looking at a new trap rake and also a utility cart for the golf course workers to move things around in the golf course. Inside the clubhouse, we have to replace an ice machine that is on its last legs, and I want to get ahead of that before it goes out. Also looking at changing out one reach-in freezer and a chest freezer with a double reach-in freezer, and then also looking for a piece of food service equipment, a slicer, so we can not pay retail for our deli meats and buy them wholesale instead. So those are some expenses we'll incur this year at the golf course to upgrade equipment.
But we're cutting chemicals in half the cost.
Yeah, what we're doing with chemicals is, before we would purchase in October for the following year, typically run at $65,000, and it was, here's what we think we need. So what we did this year is we identified only those chemical suppliers that offer a rebate. So we pre-purchased those. It ends up being about $35,000. And what we'll do is, as we kind of work through our inventory, If we need to get something, we'll order it and we'll pay for it when we need it versus just having all this stuff on hand and hopefully use it. So I think being smarter about how we purchase and be intentional about how we use the chemicals, I think we'll see a pretty good reduction on our chemical expenses. And the other thing too is now we are capturing all of our Golf Now proceeds, and also in 2024 we will be capturing transaction fees on credit cards, which haven't been captured before. Usually cost about $9,000 off the bottom line that we pay that we haven't captured, but we'll be capturing that this year. We're also adjusting prices on our food and beverage. You have a spreadsheet in your packet. I've gone through, created the menu, did the calculations for food cost and beverage cost, and from those calculations, we did the math to understand what the selling price should be. So our liquor and wine are good pricing. We did that before we started selling that this year. But our beer pricing has been adjusted, as well as some of our menu and food items, so they actually reflect profitable items versus just items we'd sell because we thought the price was right.
It's basically just industry standard, and if you look at the pricing, it's fair, so, especially for golf course prices. It's not like you're walking into Champions Point and paying a premium. It's still gonna be a pretty fair price for a municipal golf course, so it should work out on both ends for the consumer and the parks.
So our food at Sunrise has yet to really turn a profit, correct?
Correct.
And yet, we're looking at investing a whole lot more money. That makes me really nervous, because we got this big fat bill of equipment, and this stuff obviously needs to happen. This is how you take care of your course.
Right.
So I'd never argue that. But I do have an issue with this bottom number of all this equipment when we haven't proven yet that it can turn a profit.
Well, there's only 4 items on that list that we purchased. So it's not all those items on that list. There's some wish list items on there that aren't included in what I just spoke about.
Okay, I do see the ice machine, and I know that is legit. We need that for a lot of different things. Okay, I just want to voice my concern with this number on a failing food business.
Right. And so how you keep it from failing is you lower the cost of goods sold, which there's only one way of doing that, and that's buying wholesale. And if you buy wholesale, you have minimum order requirements, and so you have to have a place to store that material when you buy it. So this takes care of that. The other part of this too, because Crystal Beach has a concession stand, we are also going to sell items at Crystal Beach that are the same that we're selling at the golf course. So we're going to have salads, we're going to have sandwiches, we're going to have fruit cups, we're going to have fruit and yogurt. It'll be produced at the golf course since we have a commercial kitchen, and then it'll be sold retail at Crystal Beach. So we'll be gaining some revenue as invoicing Crystal Beach, and we'll be gaining revenue at Crystal Beach for those same items. But in order to do that, we have to have a place in order to buy bulk quantities. So our minimum case order for U.S. Foods is 20 cases. So instead of going to Kroger to buy 2 pounds of ham at the deli at $10.99 a pound, we can buy 20 pound ham for $8.99 a pound and slice that and use that. So we're saving $2 for every pound. We're basically saving 67 cents a sandwich for every sandwich that we sell. So over the course of a period of time, you recoup that money fairly quickly. So our biggest issue at Sunrise has been retail food purchases that we should never be doing, and then adequate storage and proper preparation, and how the kitchen's set up so that we're actually making chicken salad instead of buying chicken salad. So
And I understand all that, and you did talk about, buying it all together for all of our concessions,
Yep.
Rucker.
Yep.
We've talked about that. That's a great idea. I understand all that. I just want to voice my concern
Yep.
that we keep trying to make the food thing work, and at some point, we have to say, it's not gonna work, and let's stop pushing it. I'm just talking about the future.
Right.
I'll be fine for this year, but please do not spend that amount of money on equipment for food that's not selling.
Well, I don't know if Sunrise works if we don't have a grill that works.
But I just think we don't have to offer as many things. That's
Well,
all.
then what we do is we offer hot dogs, and that's all we offer.
Okay, well, we don't have to get into it right now. I just wanted to,
Yep.
just want to make sure that, I just want to be a good steward of what we do have.
Right.
Okay, so I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly. Go ahead.
No, it's all valid. Coming from a food service background and having a food service degree, you either make that leap and try and do better, or you just say, okay, we're not going to do anything, and we're just, we're going to do something very minimal. And does that really, doesn't increase our revenue, it does, which is what we really need to do at the golf course. We cut back on a whole lot of expenses, but we also proportionally cut back on revenue that we could be making.
Okay.
It's all proportional.
As long as we are making improvements, I can be on board.
Yep.
Okay,
And again, we'll find out from this year. If things aren't selling and we're not doing well, then we cut back next year.
okay,
This year's all about data gathering.
all right, thank you.
Crystal Beach update. The only thing I'm really gonna update on Crystal Beach is talking about, pool furniture, concession equipment, those types of things that we're now in the process of procuring, as part of the plan, like lifeguard chairs and chaise lounge chairs. None of that was really included in the construction budget, so we're now in the process of ordering those items now, with hopefully getting those in April. We're clearing space in Brown Gym to store that until we're ready to go. So we're in the process of working through all that right now, upgrading the concession stand and making some improvements in there that are needed, and then buying all of our equipment that we're gonna need for functioning, for the pool to function.
I will say it's been very encouraging to see the guys at Crystal Beach there every single day.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
raining and they're still there.
We've had really good weather, which has helped us a lot, and they're doing great work. It looks really, really good over there, so I'm
It
pretty
does.
excited
It's
about it.
exciting, it
Yep.
is.
Comfort Station update, we had a bid opening in mid-January for the Comfort Station renovation. That was kind of handed off to me in October. Not really a written scope or no architectural plans completed. So we drafted a scope, walked through it, looked at it. The preliminary budget that people thought was $80,000. $40,000 is coming from VMI through Jefferson County Tourism Board allocation. And so went out for bid, we got the bids back in. Bids came out in, and low bid was $170,000. So quite a bit higher than what was anticipated. I am in the process right now of going through, doing value engineering, working on cutting scope to the point where we can still make sense that we're renovating. But right now, we're down to about $125,000. So we still have to try and pare that down a little bit more. Working with VMI, because what VMI wants to do is have a satellite visitor center there, and so they have some requirements. Honestly, their requirements aren't what's causing this to go upside down. They want to put a storefront to make a vestibule, which makes a lot of sense, to lock off their area. That was $6,000. So our big numbers really are the flooring, so putting down epoxy. Originally, we had doing tile, and we couldn't afford to do that. So we took that out. Now we have epoxy down. We're going to replace all the fixtures. We couldn't afford to do that, so all the toilets and urinals are going to stay. But we are replacing the sinks because those aren't really accessible sinks, and they're in really bad condition. Right now, the toilet partitions for new are still on the board. They're about $16,000, $16,600, which actually isn't a bad price for toilet partitions. So we're just trying to work through what else can we cut out of the scope to try and bring that back down to closer to $100,000, and still make it feel like we're renovating the facility. So there's still some work to do on that, and we need to get moving on that fairly quickly to get that started. So that work is ongoing.
So the 170 that we see here has been reduced to 125 as of
Yeah, approximately,
most
yes.
recently. Okay. And that does not, and we can take another 40 grand off of that because of the Board of Tourism chipping in?
Yeah, that's already been, we already have that money allocated.
Okay.
Yeah. we believe that there may be some additional money through, Visit Madison that they have, that they were allocating for something else that they could put towards, but not enough to seal the gap for sure.
Okay.
Brown Gym update real quick. We met with Schmidt and Associates last week and went through their schematic design for the basement of Brown Gym. We loved it. We thought it looked great. A lot of great ideas. We liked their concepts of how to open up that area, make it feel larger. So they're working on kind of their last iteration and some perspectives. So one thing we asked them to do is, give us some visuals of what it would like to stand in the space, so we can see head heights and we can see, spatially, does it feel good? And the idea of tearing down some interior brick walls in there. All that structure is steel beam and steel column, so all those interior brick walls are just fillers, so they're not structural, so any of that brick can come out. There are a lot of columns and they'll have to stay, just because it'd be too expensive to take those out and replace them. But they've done a really good job of kind of making the space feel open and larger. The ceiling height in there, believe it or not, is just a little bit north of 8 feet, which is the standard ceiling height. So that was a bit of a surprise to us. It just feels smaller, I think, because of all the walls. But that's moving along very well, and we'll see something in about a month, close to a final product that we can share at our open house. You all will see it before it goes to the open house, but probably maybe not next meeting, but April meeting for sure, we'll have everything ready to go. Same thing with Rucker Sports Complex. I received a preliminary drawing a couple weeks ago with concepts we had talked when I met with the land planner. Gave him some feedback. He's going back now and revising that. So we should have something probably next 2 or 3 weeks closer to the revision. Pieces we can move in, take out. Some ideas that my grand vision. Doesn't mean it's anybody else's grand vision, but that'll be a point of conversation when we look at it and we can talk about the programming for what we think the next 30 years of Rucker will be like. John Paul Park softball field. We are going to move nighttime softball down to John Paul Park this year. I don't want to spend more money at Rucker trying to fix lights and replace lights and chase the scoreboard and try and fix that. It's been problematic last summer and expensive for us to fix. So what we're doing this year is we're going to address the drainage issue we have at John Paul Park. We're going to put in some French drains around the backstop and hopefully get that field to drain better. We're also going to add mix into the infield and raise the infield. We're going to start working on getting pricing for replacing dugouts. All of this is really kind of short term, so we can get play down there, so it's playable and comfortable. But the full renovation will happen when we do John Paul Park and have that all happen at the same time. But for now, we've got to make sure it's playable, so we're not spending, throwing good money after bad at Rucker trying to get lights fixed up there that we just seem to be chasing, and it's not worth the expense.
So we will not be fixing the scoreboard yet at John Paul. That'll be part of our bigger.
Correct, yeah. We're going to order a flip scoreboard so they have something they can see visually, but there's no fixing the existing one, so we'll just have to replace it. And last year was $20,000 to replace that scoreboard, not including install.
And will you be moving anything besides the men's softball downtown? Will you move the church
Yes.
softball league also?
Yes.
Okay,
Any nighttime softball that's been happening at Rucker will move to John Paul Park.
okay.
And we'll bring in porta-johns for restroom facilities for those leagues.
Sounds like we have a lot to buy.
We do.
Are we good on the budget?
I budgeted quite a bit in John Paul Park this year, anticipating fixing that. So we've got, in our operating budget, our general budget, we've got money to do all that work. Most of that work we're going to do in-house. I'm going to grab the guys from the golf course, Christian and the guys, and be a couple days worth of work with a trencher and some pipe and some stone. I've been coordinating with the street department. We can probably fix the lights that are out, light bulbs are out down there just off a truck. So all that labor will be in-house labor, so we'll save all that money. So the material cost really won't be very much. The last item, and we're still kind of in draft mode with this, so I spoke about earlier in some earlier park board meetings that really the key to our success this year is engaging the community and having sponsorship opportunities. And so I've gone through and worked out with the help of Tanya and Whitney, and kind of identified sponsorship for programs, athletic programs, events, pretty much everything that we do that we've gone out and asked separately for sponsorships. I want to be more purposeful in how we do that, and kind of put everything in front of people and say, what are you really interested in doing? And so what I've given you is kind of our draft letter of what we'll be taking out to people, and what we're asking for. I think really, especially this year, looking at pricing, looking at what's affordable, I'm really going to try hard to find sponsors in the community to help offset the cost of registration fees. So I want families to not have to have a choice of whether their child can do an activity with the city of Madison because they can't afford the $20 or they can't afford the $50. And so if we can get community sponsorship to help pay for those fees, for registration fees, then I think that's one more thing we can take off parents' backs this year and say, okay, I want my child to be busy and doing things, but I just can't afford it. So if we can get enough community engagement to help pay for scholarships and sponsorships, that will be a huge help to the families in Madison and all those people who use our parks for recreation and other activities. So that's kind of the main goal for this year especially, is to really help offset registration fees for all of our events and all of our activities. So that's kind of the goal. I know you all just received this. I've been working on it since Thursday, and had some good feedback from one of our corporate members. So we're optimistic about their involvement. I won't mention who it is yet until we have more conversations with them, but I'm pretty optimistic about this. We're getting a lot of good feedback, a lot of phone calls, a lot of interest from people who are interested in coming back to the city of Madison. So I'm excited about that. Anybody have any questions or concerns about that?
Maybe next month after we've had time to
Yes.
pour over it a little bit. It's kind of fun just to see all the different programs that we do have here.
Yeah, that became much larger than I thought it was. But I wanted to establish what we're doing and put everything in front of people so they can see and give people choices. Because there's plenty of things that, that are non-athletic that they may want to help us out with, or they may want to be involved with athletics or events or the senior center or anything that we're doing that they think is important and that we're doing a good job on. So hopefully we'll get a lot of positive interaction from this.
Okay, one thing I wanted to mention to you, I was out walking with a friend today and we walked down by Gaines Park, and almost every time I go by Gaines Park, if it's a nice day, there's somebody there. It's not overcrowded, but there's somebody using it on a pretty consistent basis. But one thing that it struck us as we were walking is, unless you live in Madison, you don't know that park exists. And a lot of people who live in Madison still don't know. I mentioned it just the other day to a friend at pickleball, and she was like, no, where is that park? I'm like, it's right here on Broadway at the other end. So I hope at some point in the future we'll be able to get some signage, maybe at the Broadway fountain where we have a sign already that will say Gaines Park with an arrow pointing, guiding people to our parks. Sure, we might have a map at the visitor center, but it would just be nice if we have signs that would actually lead people from the main drags to our different sites.
Yeah, that's another big push that we're trying to figure out from a marketing perspective as far as personnel wise. It's really critically important for the Parks Department this year to be very, very active in our marketing. And we have to figure out how to do that. Part of the logo concept with the iconography, with our colors, and say we'll have a map that shows each park and what you can do in each park, that will help inform as well. But we can do that, but we have to figure out who do we get it out to, who sees it, how do we deliver it, where is it? Those are all questions really for a marketing person. And so it's really critical for us this year to be successful, strong marketing across all of our platforms in the Parks Department, exactly for that reason. People come from out of town, maybe they're staying at their Fairfield, I want to take my kids to a park, what options do I have? And so if they have a brochure that says, here's all of our parks, here's what goes on there, then that achieves that. So it's about marketing, it's about getting information out there to everybody so they know where to go and what to do once they get there.
Well, online would be good too, right? Go to, and here's the link, visit our parks, and you just click on each park and this is where it is, this may be the history behind it, and this is what we offer.
We've been having conversations with communications about navigation through our website, which is difficult with everything. So we are looking at breaking out Parks and Rec from the city of Madison, where you'll have a link where you click on it, but then it opens up to just a Parks and Recreation page, and then on that page you can go campground, sunrise, where do I jog, where do I do this? And so navigating through that website would be much, much easier than what we have now. You go online and make a reservation at the campground, or where do I go for sunrise? So all of our social media access points are outdated and difficult to navigate. And so we've had conversations, quite a few conversations already, about changing that and addressing it. I notice it because I get phone calls from people who say, how do I get a reservation at the campsite? So I'm literally on the phone with them, walking them through the electronic. Are you on your phone or on your desktop? Okay, and I walk them through how to do it. So if we're at that level with something that's been around this long, we know we have an issue with navigation. We've got to get that fixed.
Don't stop on that.
Yeah, no,
We just have to keep
huge
until
priority.
it happens.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, is that it for you then?
That's it.
All right, so at this point, we will open it up to public comment. Mrs. Ferguson, you were tardy, but I did find out that there will be dancing at the skating thing. They're gonna create a little middle section under the disco ball for the dancers. Okay, Mr. McWilliams, you're up.
Ken McWilliams, Poplar Street. And Carla, your concern about food at Sunrise is warranted. I mean, the kindest phrase I can have for the sandwiches is mediocre. So all the years I've played midday rounds, we'd go and get hot dogs. They're unedible now. If we had an early morning round, we'd go and get a breakfast sandwich, and we just don't do those things anymore. So, the hot dogs used to be full-size hot dogs, and they're just not, it's different now. So if there's not an improvement in the quality, you're going to be trouble hitting those marks. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm sorry that I was late.
I just wanted you to know that we had covered it.
You covered it, and I was reading a book going, I can finish this by 5, so I didn't. But just want to express my concerns about regular roller skates coming onto the gym floor, because my dad used to own roller skating rinks, so I got a history of roller skating rinks. And that gym floor is precious to those pickleball people. So I'm not saying that it's not gonna turn out great or whatever, but I'm wondering when the tape all comes up, who's gonna come in and retape it for Monday morning, cause it's gonna happen, I'm sure. And we thought it was like a special skate, and it was gonna be like this great thing for gym floors. Not that I would roller skate on my own wooden floors at home, but, maybe it's gonna be better than we thought. But in the long run, if the tape all comes up, who's gonna retape it? Cause it's not gonna be Charlie and Carla, right?
Thanks, Lisa. I want to remind everybody that Brown Gym is for everybody to use. And when we're doing events where we've had 33,000 people interested in online, your point is valid about the floor. We're definitely concerned about the floor and making sure it's fine. But Brown Gym can't be only for a group of people that just doing what they want to do.
I'm not saying
We
this,
have to
Bob.
open
I'm
it
saying
up
that
for the
we're
community.
During the day, and we
If
have to
we-
look at the volumes.
If we don't have community engagement and use in that building will not be standing. And so we have to get people in there and be active in that building on a wide variety of programs for the Parks and Recreation Department. We love the pickleballers. We want to do more to get more access for more places to play, so it won't be as much of an issue. But our concern is how do we get people and families out engaged in the community doing events that they don't have an access to? And we think this is a great event, and, you know, I'm not really worried about tape on the floor. We can put tape back on the floor.
We used to have our children's theater summer camp at the Brown Gym, and it was fabulous. We packed that place. I was gonna talk about the food at the golf course. In your marketing, in your Facebook book, you had it on the sign, it said, lunch, the grill is open, come and eat. So I told my friends that have time to go to lunch. I said, go to lunch there, go eat there. Cause who knew that you could go eat there and not have to golf? What's happening with the staff at Crystal Beach? I just found out that there was an ad for lifeguards. I better look that up. 'Cause I told you I'd be a lifeguard. Are there people that, do you have interest already?
We have the usual kids who like lifeguarded last year and who are interested. It's like every year, you advertise and you see who's interested. And we're working with Clifty Falls because they have need for lifeguard too. And so I've been communicating with them, and what I reached out to him and Larry, I think in maybe November, and I said, we're competing for the same people. Let's not compete. Let's figure out how to pool our resources. And so we can, you know, maybe hire the same people and share them. And so that bigger pool will get shrunk as far as how many people we need. Right now, I don't think anybody's really thinking about the summer as far as that goes. But we have ads out there, and we'll start populating that. We're also going to be advertising shortly that we will be doing lifeguard and life-saving training ourselves. And so part of our, usually you have to pay for that. There's an expense if you want to go and get certified. We're going to do that, and we're going to offer that if you come, we'll train you for free, but you have to sign up and be a lifeguard for us for 1 or 2 years to offset that cost. So we're trying to figure out different ways to market ourselves to draw that interest for not only lifeguards, but swim instructors, and just general workers at Crystal Beach.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Lots of good stuff happening.
Thank you.
Anybody else that would like to approach the microphone? Okay, then I would motion to adjourn our meeting.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming.
You're the motion queen now.
I was. You were awfully. Who did second? Jake. You're so quiet over there tonight.
He lets me do all the talking for me.
I don't